Its greatest giveaway. You could be in the driving seat of this Benamar Primera motorhome. This luxurious home from home comes with all the mod cons. Plus, you can use it with your current driving license. We'll also boost your bank account with a whopping £30,000 in tax-free cash to spend on anything you like. It only takes one entry to become a winner. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB16 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 31st of October. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
Patrick Trump made a good start. No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it? Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Kerr weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Westminster, the ultimate clique.
And you're fighting like rats in a sack.
But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Yes, I'm Patrick Christys. Welcome along to Patrick Christys Tonight, late edition.
I've questioned myself as to why did I go, what was I doing, and was it the right thing to do?
Well, unsurprisingly, Prince Andrew's all over the front pages. The band old Duke of York is probably the winner there, though. That's the Sun's front page. Andrew forced to give up titles. King and Wills told him to quit. This is going to be a really good hour, this, because, you know, we've all had that breaking news, didn't we? The Palace statement, or, well, Andrew's statement, all of that. But now we've got the front pages, and we're about to get a lot more detail on the fact that it's game over for Randy Andy. And could the Prime Minister face an ethics inquiry? This is another development in the Chinese super embassy in London. Supposedly, he might have promised them, made the Chinese promises he shouldn't have made. But anyway, plus...
We trust the United States. We trust President that he wants to finish this war.
Well, the very latest for you on the Zelenskyy and President Trump meeting in the White House. They tried to thrash out a deal that could potentially end that war in Ukraine. And... is the government about to drop their push for a new definition of Islamophobia? Yes. So this emerged in the last half hour or so. It looks as though, I can't believe it when I see it, the government might be about to drop their new Islamophobia definition. And find out why Nadine Dorries' boobs have made the front page of the Daily Mail. There we go. No, don't turn off. Well, joining us this evening is journalist and broadcasting royalty, Christo Foufas, political commentator Chloe Dobbs and Labour MP Barry Gardiner. But let's get those headlines.
Thank you very much, Patrick. 2 minutes past 11 here in the GB newsroom. Prince Andrew is giving up all of his royal titles and honours, including the Duke of York, after discussions with the King. Andrew will put all his titles in abeyance and will relinquish his membership of the Order of the Garter, although he will remain a prince as the son of the late Queen. Andrew's ex-wife, Sarah, the Duchess of York, will follow suit and will be known simply as Sarah Ferguson. Andrew had already been stripped of several titles, including His Royal Highness, along with invitations to almost all public family events, as a result of his connection to the sex offender Jeffrey Epstein and his dealings with China. In a statement, Prince Andrew said continued accusations against him were distracting from the work of the royal family, but he continued to vigorously deny any wrongdoing. Royal biographer Tom Bauer says it's unlikely to draw a line under the embarrassment.
Of course, it's not the end of the saga or the scandal, because both of them have an absolute penchant. They love appearing in the spotlight, and they can't resist appearing in public. So although they might disappear for a few days, few weeks, even a couple of months, they are going to reappear. And I think this is where the King has a major problem, as does the Prince of Wales. What do they do with this terrible couple?
Donald Trump says he thinks Vladimir Putin is ready to end the war in Ukraine, but has cast doubt over plans to supply Ukraine with long-range weapons. The US president held talks with Volodymyr Zelenskyy at the White House earlier, but said his upcoming meeting with Vladimir Putin in Hungary is unlikely to result in three-way talks to end the war. Well, Zelenskyy proposed a weapons deal with the US that would allow his country to use Tomahawk cruise missiles against Russia, but the US president has warned it could result in an escalation.
I think he wants to make a deal, that's all. I can't tell you what's bringing him. Sure, that's the threat of that is good, but the threat of that is always there. They're an amazing weapon. They're a very powerful weapon, but they're a very dangerous weapon, and it could mean big, escalation. It could mean a lot of bad things can happen. Tomahawks are a big deal.
Well, Zelenskyy, meanwhile, was guarded about the possibility of the US supplying him with Tomahawk missiles, but emphasised it was a productive meeting.
Thank you so much. We are very thankful to the President and his team for the invitation again. And for our meeting, we had a productive meeting, long meeting, yes, because we wanted to have a wide plan of topics and questions. And so, in any way, thank you so much. Thanks to United States team. Spoke about air defense. It's important for us.
The Home Office says it expects to hold a meeting to address a ban on Israeli football fans attending a game against Aston Villa next week. It wants police to set out the extra resources it will need to allow next month's game to go ahead safely. Birmingham Council officials banned Maccabi Tel Aviv supporters over safety concerns after classifying the game as high risk, citing violence that occurred during a Europa League match between Ajax and Maccabi in Amsterdam last November. Israel says a coffin of a deceased hostage has been transferred to the Red Cross in Gaza and is now being transferred to its forces in the territory. Hamas this week returned the bodies of 9 of the 28 dead hostages and freed the 20 living hostages. The IDF, Israel's defence force, says Hamas is required to uphold the agreement and must take the necessary steps to return all deceased hostages. And finally, China has threatened the UK with consequences over delays to its proposed mega embassy in London. Beijing has expressed grave concern and strong dissatisfaction after a planned decision was pushed back for a second time until December. It further complicates attempts by the Prime Minister to reset relations with China, which have been hit recently over the row over the alleged Chinese espionage in the UK. Those are your headlines. That's it for the moment. Now back to Patrick.
Good evening. Let's get you Saturday morning's newspaper front pages, starting with The Independent. Disgraced Andrew forced to give up the Duke of York title. He will remain a prince, but will stop using titles after discussions with the king. I'll just say as well, this is where we get the second round, the second wave of information about the Prince Andrew resignation with all these front pages. Let's go next to The Sun. Banned old Duke of York. A fantastic headline. Andrew forced to give up his titles. The Sun is reporting that it was both the King and Prince William that told him to quit. If we go now to the Daily Mirror, royal bombshell, Andrew quits Duke title. They've also got an exclusive from Paul Gascoigne. I just can't give up boozing. I would very politely suggest to Paul Gascoigne, from one alcoholic to another, that's not really an exclusive, Paul. We have known that for a number of years. The Daily Telegraph, Andrew forced to give up his royal titles. Prince comes to agreement with King after Epstein and spy scandals hit the tipping point. There's also a couple of other stories along the bottom here, which is Mahmoud knew of ban on Israeli football fans. This is that the Home Secretary apparently knew last week but didn't really do anything about it. Also on that, there's another story that we're going to cover, which is that apparently the government might drop its Islamophobia definition, and the Prime Minister is facing an inquiry on the China embassy deal. I've got a clip about that for you. Let's go on now to the Daily Mail. Nadine Dorries' boobs are on the front page. No, not literally, but she says, I had breast implants, then bitterly regretted it. But when I had an op to remove them, the surgeon did something so shocking, I'm still traumatised. Well, with respect to Nadine Dorries, it can't be that shocking because they've shoved it on page 26. But Prince Andrew falls on his sword, is the one there, as Barry pointed out. And that's not really what got him into trouble in the first place. But there we go. We go to the Daily Express. Andrew, I will no longer use Duke of York title. And they've also furnished the article with a picture of Jeffrey Epstein. The Times, Andrew gives up titles. The sidebar down here is another additional piece of information from the Times. They say the lie that was finally too much for Charles. So this is that when proof emerged that Prince Andrew had lied about his contact with a convicted sex offender, the clock was ticking. So apparently it's the lies that did him in the end. And The Guardian, they've gone for we can't leave welfare untouched, says Rachel Reeves. It looks like she's going to be considering an end to tax breaks on cars for disabled people. I haven't read the full bit of this story yet. I imagine they're talking about the Motability scheme. Yes, they are. And with respect, some of those people are not disabled. So there we go. Right, I think that's it for the papers. Right. Yes, it is. Right, we're going to start with Prince Andrew, aren't we? Christo, you've got some
I've got some interesting detail here, and that the king didn't want to actually do what would have been required had Andrew not stepped down voluntarily from being the role of Duke. And so he didn't want to waste parliamentary time formally taking the titles away. So actually they are in abeyance at the moment, meaning that they effectively remain extant but inactive.
What does this mean? It's a bit late on a Friday for me.
So legally, he is still the Duke of York. He's just not going to refer to himself in that way, and presumably the press and others won't do so.
Yes.
So unless there is an act of Parliament to say legally you are technically no longer the Duke of York, he is still legally the Duke of York.
But he will never use it again. He will never be referred to it again. He will never be within royal circles.
Yeah, you're not going to see him out in public at any royal events anymore.
The reason he didn't want to do that was because it would have meant that you would have had to have had an act of Parliament, I think, as you alluded to earlier, Barry, but also then that would have affected Beatrice and Eugenie because they are remaining royal highnesses, but if their father's titles had been formally removed via Act of Parliament, theirs would have been affected too, and King Charles likes them.
This is, again, and just to go back to Prince Andrew's statement, he always tries to paint himself as the victim. You know, they allowed this thing to come out about, oh, well, he only did the payoff for Virginia Giuffre because, you know, he didn't want to make the Queen's last moments more bearable and all of this.
Stop embarrassment to the family.
Stop embarrassment to the family. And here now, even though he's saying, like, he's basically saying, well, it's my duty, you know, for His Majesty, for the royal family, so I'll step aside, I'll fall on my sword. I mean, that's the Daily Mail's headline there. He falls on his sword. He's not falling on his sword, he's quitting in disgrace.
Yes, and also, sorry, can I just say, if you want just a tiny bit more detail, basically, Kate Mancy, who is from The Times, she's saying that actually he was told it would be done either the hard way or the easy way. The king was resolute that his titles would be removed. They didn't do the Act of Parliament, and she says after hours of talks, he then conceded defeat, and that's why in the statement he
exactly.
said,
So he didn't honourably fall on his sword.
No.
He was forced.
She
He was
said she
told
was-
you can take the easy way or the hard way. There's
Yeah.
going to be an Act of Parliament. If you don't, it's like whenever we hear a minister's resigned, right? We know they haven't resigned. They've been sacked, essentially.
Exactly that. So therefore, how much would this have dragged on if then, and how would it have made him look if the king had to go to Parliament?
I mean, what would be
to
really
say-
interesting is if a backbench MP who's furious about Prince Andrew decides to put through a private member's bill to try and have his titles removed, regardless of this.
Yeah, well, there was probably a few of them who would be more than willing to do it. So, Barry, go on then. The latest detail seems to be that Andrew fought this tooth and nail.
Yes. So look. I'm trying to salvage something here, but I think there is something, and that is that it is clear that Prince William and the King have absolutely done the right thing. They've seen the damage that this is causing, and they have absolutely given him no option. And I think we need to say, all credit to them for having, really forced this to the issue. I was interested, though, to find that he will remain a prince, but not be called His Royal Highness. Now, of course, he remains a prince because King George V passed a law in 2017 that anyone who was the son of a king had the right to call themselves a prince. Now, I don't know why they needed to pass a law to say that, but apparently they did. But the question then arises, how does one now address Prince Andrew?
You just call him Prince Andrew, you don't...
No, but... Wow. So, normally, when you go up to somebody, you would say, if they were a royal, and certainly if they were a prince, you'd say, Your Royal Highness. How do people now address Prince Andrew?
There's a few things...
There's no Your Princedom.
There's a few words I'd like to use.
Even at this hour, Patrick, I think that would be unwise.
We've got enough choice language on this show, but
an interesting one here as well from the family of Virginia Giuffre, who have said, and of course she took her own life in April. They have said that Andrew's decision was vindication for our sister and survivors everywhere. Let's remind ourselves, of course, that he still denies anything. This is their version of things. They added, this moment serves as victory for Virginia, who consistently maintained he knows what happened, I know what happened, and there's only one of us telling the truth, and I know that's me. So they repeated the quote from her, which Prince Andrew, of course, denies, and said that it was vindication for her. So, I mean, this is it now. This is the final sort of humiliation for Prince Andrew. The Times are also saying that it really was the lie that there had been no more contact, but then let's play together soon. That really horrific email, and then of course the Chinese spy scandal. That was the straw that broke the camel's back, and they knew that they had to take some sort of action.
Yes, and so again, just to emphasise. We obviously know what happened with the initial Emily Maitlis interview, where there was just some, absolutely catastrophic lines in there for him. Zero sympathy, it seemed, for any of Jeffrey Epstein's victims whatsoever.
No apology in that.
No apology in that at all. Wasn't even regretful about having met him, because of the people that I met and the networking. Oh, come on.
Do you know, they will show that. Sorry to interrupt you, but they will screen that. I mean, Love or Loathe Emily Maitlis is one of the finest hours of journalism of her journalism.
I just say on that, I think that's because he's really thick and not because she's really great, by the way.
OK, well, either way, she let him speak. There is a skill,
dug his own hole.
And, you'll learn something now when I say this to you, Patrick. But there is a skill, actually, in shutting up sometimes and letting your guest hang themselves, and she did do that. There would be a great temptation, and I'm guilty of this as well, of stepping in, when in actual fact sometimes let your guests hang themselves, like you're doing now. And And now, but the other thing is they'll show it for masterclasses of PR one day.
Could we possibly bring up the Sun? Could we possibly just bring up the Sun's front page as well if we get a chance? Because look, sometimes I think, and I'm sorry by the way, because I'm aware that we have probably quite a few viewers in Liverpool. But the Sun sometimes does do the best headlines, right? It does, and this is one of those situations. Banned old Duke of York, Andrew.
10,000 men was about what he didn't have.
Well, yes, or maybe that's now. Yeah, they're taking this slightly more satirical tabloid slant on this, aren't they? Really?
Remind me, how does that nursery rhyme continue?
Oh, I don't know.
Went up
Just do it. What is it? How bad is it?
The Grand Old Duke of York, he had 10,000 men. He went up the top of the hill and then
marched them up to
the top of the hill and marched them down again.
Yeah.
And when they were up, they were up. And when they were down, they were down. And when they were only halfway up, they were neither up nor down.
Very good memory.
Nice. If you're just tuning in, this is Nursery Rhyme Hour with Patrick Christys.
Perhaps not appropriate to be doing children's nursery rhymes when it comes to Prince
Hopefully
Andrew.
the kids are all asleep.
I think I do think the Sun's front page is the core coming, because that's the thing. A lot of them obviously have gone for the straight thing. Andrew forced to give up royalties. Andrew gives up titles. Yeah, Andrew gives up titles again. Is on two of them. But this one, it's mockery, isn't it? Really, and that is what he is now. I think he's a figure of ridicule.
Yeah, I mean, he is a disgrace to this nation. I feel embarrassed to be British with him in the royal family, or previously in the royal family. I mean, it's absolutely shocking that he had scandal after scandal after scandal and at no point showed any humility, even now with a somewhat pious statement that's come out. I just can't stand people that can't ever say sorry. I feel like it's very un-British.
Yeah, and he should have tried to keep himself in the background. And when there have been, there's numerous, unfortunately for the royals, they've had to go to a few funerals recently. And also, as well, there's the things like the Christmas ceremonies and the Easter ceremonies. And you can see Prince Andrew desperate, proud as punch, trying to walk in first. Oh, hello, everybody, hello, like nothing's happened. He's like, oh, just sit at the back and off.
But also,
he doesn't know his place.
It's really interesting, that clip you showed earlier of him and Prince William, where he's trying to talk to Prince William. And Prince William, this is why I really have faith in the future of the monarchy with Prince William, because he's clearly smart enough to think, I'm not engaging with him, because that clip will be there forever of me engaging with him, so I'm going to look straight ahead and just pretend this annoying little wasp.
But Chloe, I think, had a really interesting point. You used the word disgraced. And I think it's really interesting. So many of the newspapers, the Daily Mail, have said he falls on his sword. Times, Andrew gives up his title. Mirror, Andrew quits. No. Disgraced Andrew forced to give up Duke of York title is what the Independent says. Yeah. They nail it in a way that the other papers actually don't.
Because actually, yes, you're right. I mean, I've praised this because I like quite a funny headline. But you're right. I mean, that is what it is in the Independent, isn't it? Yeah, disgraced Andrew, forced to give up the titles. Language is important.
It is important.
Yeah, well, I mean, he is deeply unpopular and has been for a long time. I highly doubt that there are many viewers watching this thinking how sorry they feel for Prince Andrew having to give up his titles. I think most people are pretty disgusted by the man, to be honest.
He's a very unlikable character generally. I mean, even without all of this.
Yeah, even if everything he denies everything, even if all these accusations are completely untrue, he's just not a tasteful individual.
No. Do you want a couple of comments? Because I've been looking at the GBNews
Oh, they're sick
comments.
of it. Are they sick of it?
No, they're not. But David has suggested.
Well, these are comments by GBNews viewers.
GBNews on the GBNews comment feed, and David has said that Andrew should go to the ECHR because they might help.
Oh, God.
And Aaron says this puts a mark on our royal family. They're important for the United Kingdom. We need them more. Then we need people like Barry Gardner and the Labour
Party. Christo,
sorry,
you
Barry.
didn't need to read that out.
Oh, Barry, don't look so hurt. Don't look like... Oh, don't give me those puppy dog eyes.
All right, well...
Maybe if we leave the ECHR, we can deport him to the presumably now vacant
Barry?
Island.
Deport Barry? Me? I think we've been harsh enough with the comment for Barry.
Yeah, well, there are all strong rumours about some countries that Prince Andrew might own properties in or have been gifted properties in, so maybe he will be spending a...
But he quite likes going to Thailand. There are some massages that you can get there.
David,
which I'm sure he'd deny, but...
David says, no, Christo, the Grand Old Duke of York, he had 12 million quid. He gave it to someone he'd never met for something he never did.
Oh, I see. Well, so someone's done a poem about that, right? I'm just going to do this again.
Very good.
The final line of Prince Andrew's statement. As I have previously said, I vigorously deny the accusations against me. So there we are.
Why don't you put that as a tattoo on your forehead?
So I don't have to say it again. Yeah, so I don't have to say it again. Look, it's not the only story that's on the front. Obviously, it's leading all the front pages, but there are some other good ones in, especially on the front of the Daily Telegraph, which we'll talk about in a second now. The China spy embassy, well, it's basically what it was, but Chinese embassy, Sir Keir Starmer is now facing an inquiry into claims that he struck a secret deal with Beijing to approve the new super embassy in London. Well, you're not supposed to do that. We've got a bit of this as well.
You raised the Chinese embassy building in London when we spoke on the telephone, and we have since taken action.
Yeah, so more on that, and also it looks as though Labour might be about to drop their Islamophobia definition. Interesting, stay tuned.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact that Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
You know, it was so unexpected. What we needed was somebody to sit with us and talk about how we were going to feel. Yes, everyone experiences grief differently. Everyone feels very differently after they've lost their child. But there are some real common things that run through it. And one of them is guilt. Could I have prevented this happening to my child? I'm here to protect them and I didn't protect him. And that was some of the things that Paul did say to me that weekend was he felt he'd failed us. He felt he'd let George down. He'd failed me as his wife. The most awful things to say. And of course I reassured him. But what we needed was somebody who, you know, had some experience of working with families who'd experienced such loss. Someone to sit with us. And that's what Tawish does. That's the one thing that I was so passionate about, was making sure that we work with hospitals, the police, because there's obviously a heavy police influence as well. Somebody who will get that referral. The family then can sit with our workers and just talk.
And Rhiannon, Tawish is now part of Prince William's new National Suicide Prevention Network, which is launched around 20 organisations, I believe, around the country. Can you just explain how the charity and yourself got involved and how that led to Prince William literally sitting in your kitchen and you having a chat with him?
I just worked with the Royal Foundation, so I'm honestly overwhelmed that they want us to be part of this very important network. So it's bringing the four nations together, which again is a unique piece of work where people can talk, find out why is this happening to our loved ones? What can we do to support these people? Let's bring people together. Let's talk about it. And more importantly, let's talk about suicide.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
I love AI. Do you use AI? Absolutely. Do you use ChatGPT? Do you love ChatGPT? I love ChatGPT. I love it. ChatGPT is fantastic. It's so nice. ChatGPT. What do you use it for? What do you use it for? Well, I'm writing various books, and but I just use it. I just ask questions. You know that the answer, but ChatGPT always says, "Oh, your question's so clever. You're brilliant. You're excellent. You have such insight," and I love it.
Well, there you go. We just thought we'd play you that clip of Boris Johnson talking about ChatGPT. ChatGPT and AI. But yeah, more on that later. OK, so return to the front pages. As you will expect, they're all leading with the Prince Andrew story. Some of the new lines that have come out about it is that both William and Charles appeared to have forced Prince Andrew out. He apparently resisted their decision quite strongly, and there were hours of back and forth with it. And then King Charles appears to have given him an ultimatum. You can do this the easy way or the hard way. The hard way would have been having to go and get an Act of Parliament, get it through Parliament to get him stripped of being everything. So
of course, the King, it would have all been released that it was the King doing this, but I have absolutely every idea that Prince William was right next to the King demanding this. Now, of course, it would never be released that Prince William demanded it, but I wonder if in the coming days it will come out that Prince William had more of a role in this than we thought.
Yeah, I mean, look, just watch this space, because if we get any more updates on this online or anything like that, we will bring them to you. But we've got the front page of the Daily Telegraph on your screens now, and that's good, because what you'll notice there is a story towards the bottom left there, which is that the Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer, is facing an inquiry on this China embassy deal. Now, it's been a, pretty tough time for Sir Keir recently with the old China stuff, hasn't it, and the collapse of the China spy trial and all of that stuff. Well, now Sir Keir Starmer is facing an inquiry into claims that he struck a secret deal with Beijing to approve a new super embassy in London. And yesterday, China warned the UK that we would face, quote, consequences unless the planning application was approved. Now, some of that idea that Sir Keir Starmer struck a secret deal with China stems a bit from a clip that I'm hoping we might be able to play you, which is Sir Keir Starmer at a meeting, and he's addressing the Chinese leader here. Here's one of the things that he has to say to him.
You raised the Chinese embassy building in London when we spoke on the telephone, and we have since taken action.
Yeah, it goes on a bit. He says, we've since taken action. He then says, well, obviously, to be subject to all the planning and legal processes. So he's left himself a bit of wiggle room there. Potentially quite damaging again for the Prime Minister on the China. Go on, Barry.
Look, Patrick, I actually think this is a storm in a teacup, because these are exactly the sort of things that in those telephone conversations are raised. We've had a planning process that's got stalled for years. There's been a dispute, with Tower Hamlets Council. We need this resolved. Obviously, Starmer's then gone away from that phone call, and he's told Angela Rayner, OK, look, call this in, which they have the power to do as the Secretary of State.
Yeah.
And I think the contractual thing that they're now saying, you're breaking the contract, is that originally they had said that Angela Rayner would give a decision on this by October 21st, and they're now saying because she's gone and it's Steve Reed, it'll be December.
I can understand that to an extent, but there's a slightly there's a slightly punchier point here, isn't there? Which is that China threatening us with, quotes, consequences if we don't go. After everything has come out, which, by the way, was happening hugely under the Tories, massively under the Tories. After everything that's come out now, for China to say that there's consequences if we don't give them a 600,000 square foot mega embassy.
And that's the story here, because I think a lot of people will be saying, well, how dare China threaten consequences? I mean, that is fighting talk. That is not, China is pressing in the strongest possible terms for this embassy. Yeah. It's not the kind of language you normally get. It's the word consequences. Also, I still have these real concerns about this 17-floor basement that appears to be in this
it's a huge national security risk.
Over the lines going into the financial services.
Yeah, all of the fibre optic cables that literally power the whole of the fibre. So even if surely even if they don't hack them to cut into them, can they not just plug something into them and find out all the information? I don't know.
Yeah.
I know. I mean, it's blatantly a huge threat. And also, apparently, there was a data system that is used for the information that the police store about criminals, including spies, potentially Chinese spies. The government decided to sell that data system to the Chinese, of all people. Didn't think there'd be anything wrong with that. I think that was under the Tories. But still, I mean, both the Tories and Labour, I think, are being far too soft on China. And it's one thing saying saying, oh, we still need to trade with China, there's so many goods that we need to import for them, and then allowing them to blackmail you and have an embassy that potentially massively threatens your national security, giving them basically a free pass to spy. I mean, I was absolutely baffled that that report on the threat that China poses was not released because the Treasury essentially lobbied Jonathan Powell not to put it out.
But that's why, because I think that we are in such shtuck at the moment that I think that the government is being a little soft on China. I do wonder, though...
It's more than a little soft.
Yeah, more than a little soft, you're right. But
we're being blackmailed.
I'm being the king of understatement here.
There's a couple of points to this as well, which is that again, it appears to be an incomprehensible level of dishonesty, or, if we're being generous, maybe incompetence amongst certain people high up in the Labour Party. So apparently, earlier on today, Downing Street was actually asked if Sir Keir Starmer had ever really raised the Chinese embassy with anyone from China, and they denied it. And then that video emerged. I get that you're saying that it's the kind of thing you might just toss out across a diplomatic table, all right, but they denied it. They were then confronted by the video. I mean, look, there's a Tory MP here, Kevin Holland-Rake, saying, extraordinary. The PM discussed a live planning case for the Chinese embassy with President Xi himself, and then has it called in days later. Written to the independent advisor requesting an investigation into the breach of the ministerial code. So there appears to be that aspect of it, doesn't it? The ministerial code.
Kevin Holland-Rake is a master. The only person I know who is better at innuendo is Christo Fufas.
Thank you.
And Kevin Holland-Rake has, I think, spun that very carefully in his direction. But we should look at the serious point, and that is about the spying, and it's about the embassy. And I want to go back to why this whole case was dropped against these two men, because the interesting thing here is the Act says that it is an offence to pass information that would be directly or indirectly useful to an enemy. It doesn't say that it's an offence to directly or indirectly pass to an enemy information that would be useful. Now, that may sound like you're dancing on the head of a pin, but I think legally it's actually very important, because the difference is that in the first, it's the usefulness of the information that constitutes the offence. Is it going outside of the orbit, the control of the government, where it could be, even to a friendly country, but where it might then be picked up by somebody who was less friendly or passed on to them? In the second, it's the passing it directly to the enemy that constitutes the offence. And that's how this case was dropped, because they said, well, unless you can say it's the enemy that it was passed to, then you've got to drop the case.
It's a slight level of deception, though, isn't it? Why did bits of the Labour manifesto find its way into those witness statements? If Keir Starmer or no one in the Labour Party had anything to do with it? I mean, these are the questions, aren't they, that need answering. People find it hard to believe. Right, look, we'll whiz ourselves on, just because a couple of other stories that are doing the rounds. Nadine Dorries' boobs.
Oh, do we have to?
They're everywhere, Christo.
I don't want to see them.
Wow.
You don't have to. Don't worry. The front of the Daily Mail talks about them, but does not display them, Christo. I assure you, you're all right.
Well, hang on. Mind you, we haven't yet been given advance sight of pages 26 of the Daily Mail, which is apparently there's a double spread, Barry.
Well, I'm glad I'm not a subscriber to the Daily Mail.
There you go. Right, so look, that and apparently this one, which is obviously a much more important story than Nadine Dorries' chest, which is Britain is set to ditch plans for the Islamophobia law, and we're going to be going live to Washington, D.C. as well.
So many people have died in this war, and we're gonna get it ended.
Beth Turner's going to be with us. She was in the room when Zelensky came to town. Stay tuned.
Evening. The weekend promises a big change. Still, most of us dry and cloudy tomorrow, but it should be a bit brighter than today. And then things really change through Saturday night and into Sunday as we see things turning wet and windy because of this area of low pressure moving in, finally replacing our area of high pressure. But that high is still with us at the moment. There is still a little bit of light rain here and there. Been a few showers through the day across the south coast of England and in northeast Scotland. Much of northern Scotland, though, hanging on to clear skies, which will allow it to turn quite chilly and also perhaps a little foggy. Further south, temperatures holding up with the cloud at 8 to 10 degrees Celsius, but a chance of a pocket or two of frost in northern Scotland where we've got those clearer skies. The thickest cloud out west still producing a little bit of light rain and drizzle in the morning for maybe Northern Ireland. Still perhaps across the Northern Isles the odd light shower too, but much of northern Scotland starts the weekend chilly, perhaps foggy as well, but should see some good spells of sunshine here. Elsewhere, like it has been for much of the week, sunshine in short supply, a lot of cloud sitting around, but generally that cloud a bit higher than today, so it won't be quite so gloomy. And a better chance of seeing some more breaks in the cloud across southwest England, maybe East Anglia in the southeast, North Wales, northwest England. So chance of seeing some sunny spells here and there, but I think the lion's share of the sunshine will be across northern Scotland. Elsewhere, again, the odd light shower, but most places just staying dry and fairly drab. A little bit warmer than today, 14, 15, maybe 16 degrees, perhaps 17 if we see some sunshine. But look at this, all changed. The rain moves in from the west during Saturday night and then lingers for much of Sunday. The rain could be pretty heavy over eastern parts of Northern Ireland. Met Office yellow warning in place here. Heavy bursts likely elsewhere too, but slowly moving through. So parts of the west do turn a bit brighter come Sunday afternoon. But for many, Sunday is a soggy affair and increasingly windy to boot.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates, 5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5. You got me good there. Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah. Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight.
On the unpredictable.
What did she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m. only on GB News.
Welcome back to Patrick Christys Tonight, late edition. Look, a good set of front pages for you. Most of it's Prince Andrew. Some additional detail on there, which is that apparently he did try to fight the idea that he was going to lose all of his titles, but King Charles and Prince William managed to make him see sense, gave him an ultimatum. We'll return to that shortly. Also, what I want to talk to you about in a second is that it looks as though, apparently, we might be about to ditch these plans for an Islamophobia law. It would have made it very difficult to talk about things like extremism, like Pakistani rape gangs, a lot of things like that. So there we go. But before all of that, joining me now, ahead of the Late Show Live at midnight, is GB News' very own Bev Turner. And now, Bev, I believe you had do you have a front row seat to Zelenskyy-Trump round 58 or whatever it is now?
Not exactly front row, Patrick, but yeah, it was a huge day in the White House today in the briefing room. I've never seen so many journalists there at the White House, so much press, so much security, of course, as well. All the streets around the White House were completely closed off today for this visit from Zelensky. And Donald Trump does this very strange thing, doesn't he? Because the two of them were then going behind closed doors to have a one-to-one negotiation. But before that, he kind of fleshes out some of the issues with the press in the room. It's a very interesting negotiation technique because he has all the power in that situation. And it's interesting to see what he gave away, what he kept to himself. He talked about whether he would be giving the Tomahawk missiles to Zelensky, but he wasn't unequivocal about it. He's clearly very frustrated by the two men, by Putin and Zelensky, on a very individual level. He talks about the fact they've got this tremendously bad blood between them, his frustration. He basically said, I can't sit them down in the room together, knock their heads together and get them to sort it out, which is clearly what he wants to do. So it was a really interesting day. It's just another step, really, in President Trump's ambition to create world peace. I've got Liz Truss in the studio tonight. She's just behind that door right now. She's going to be talking to me at the top of the show. And I love Liz Truss because these days she's so sort of unrestricted by not being in politics anymore, that she says it exactly as it is. And I think she's a big fan of this American political landscape here. So I'm going to be interested to find out how she feels it's all going here and whether we could ever see anything Trump-like in the UK. We've also got an exclusive with Daphne Barak. She's the journalist who, of course, is extremely involved in the Prince Andrew story. She is the woman who effectively has brought him down. She's going to be talking to me and a lot more tonight.
Brilliant. Hey, gripping stuff, Bev. I'll be there. Don't worry, I'll be watching. Bev Turner there, live from Washington for us. So, yeah, I mean, there's a huge amount to go out there. Let's just bring it back home, as it were. So this is a report that's actually in the National newspaper, which we don't normally give you the front pages of, but insiders have said that apparently Britain is set to ditch plans for this new Islamophobia law. So a proposal to introduce new laws to protect Muslims from hate in the UK, I'm quoting that now, has resulted in a behind-the-scenes move to quash an official definition of Islamophobia. Speaking to people inside the room during high-level meetings, the investigation by the National has found that ministers now believe introducing Islamophobia legislation risks reintroducing long-abolished laws on religious beliefs. Ah, right, yes, a blasphemy law, yes. There have been vigorous debates with senior government ranks about bringing in new laws, but the influential Morgan McSweeney, the Chief of Staff to Prime Minister Keir Starmer, is one of those who has come out in opposition. So do you think Chloe Labour's moving in the right direction on this or not?
I mean, it seems like this is a very positive consequence of Angela Rayner losing her job, or resigning rather, because it seems like Steve Reed, her successor, is one of the ones who is firmly against this move. And maybe they're moving in the right direction because they are realising that their failure to uphold free speech in this country is actually really frustrating the public, amongst other issues like not sorting immigration out. But maybe they're starting to wake up to a few things.
Well, being slightly cynical, I would say that now Labour are being attacked from the flank of their Muslim vote, which they courted for a very, very long period of time, it might not be in their best interest to introduce a new Islamophobia definition, because they might find themselves falling foul of that if they wanted to in any way be critical of some of the tactics that could be used at the next election.
Yeah, and that's a very good point. And we've seen examples of that, haven't we, where when Jess Phillips, for instance, was, heckled at her when there was the count at the last election, and she was sort of heckled quite badly, and then she was asked about it afterwards and sort of didn't really, if I remember rightly, condemn it massively as the misogyny I think that it was at the time, because there were worries that it was a certain element of her constituency. I replied to this consultation, and I very, very rarely reply to consultations. I replied to this one, and I replied to one about bins in my neighbourhood. Right. I'll spare you the bin story, but I did, because I felt really strongly about the fact that this was wrong, that we should be able to criticise the fact that people's religious ideology, religious opinions, as long as it doesn't stray into hate. And I hate the fact that even the consultation itself, if I remember rightly, conflated race with someone's being because you're not racist if you criticise Islam. You're allowed to criticise a religious belief.
Yeah,
without
I mean there might be physical consequences for doing that, of course, but there we go. But Lord Walney's a former member of your parish, isn't he? Labour and Peter Barrow, I think he was, wasn't he? Now says that defining a law within government as Islamophobia is a big mistake, he says.
Look, definitions can be helpful. We have a definition of anti-Semitism, but that is a definition of what it is to be anti-Semitic. What we were talking about here was Islamophobia. That is, I mean, if you go back to its roots, that is a fear of Islam. Now, I don't know how you equate Islamophobia with anti-Semitism. It's not the same as anti-Islamism or anti-Muslim.
Well, anti-Muslim hate, anti-Muslim hate.
So there are laws against hatred that is motivated by racial crime and that is likely to incite. So I think there needed to be a much more careful look at what this supposed definition was trying to do.
Yeah.
And it seems to me that I haven't heard a good explanation of that.
Yeah, I mean, if they want to come up with a definition for anti-Muslim hatred, then fine, go ahead. But what frustrates me is, you know, as you pointed out, Christo, is that we seem to live in a society now where everyone just conflates race and religion. I mean, I hear Sadiq Khan all the time. Anytime someone criticises Islam, he then calls them racist. A religion is a set of ideas in a free society. We should be able to criticise that without A, being completely chastised and having the mob coming for you, and B, having the law brought against you. I mean, it's shocking that the man that burned the Quran outside the Turkish consulate even had to go to court. And it's also absolutely shocking that the man that was attacking him with a knife doesn't have to go to prison.
OK, all right. Right, well, look, when we come back, I'm going to give you the very latest again on that Prince Andrew announcement. And also, I will finally talk to you about Nadine Dorries' boobs. Stay tuned.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries, all sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News travel destinations forecast.
Some heavy showers across Croatia on Friday, but they should be clearing in time for the weekend. Meanwhile, there'll be some heavy rain in parts of Tunisia. A few heavy showers over northern parts of mainland Greece and through Albania. Most of the Greek islands, though, dry and sunny. Looking sunnier for Corsica and Sardinia too. 1 or 2 showers possible in Mallorca and Menorca and Barcelona. And so looking fairly showery on Saturday across the Canaries. Should be turning drier here, though, through Sunday and Monday. Showers continue in Barcelona.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News travel destinations forecast.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK, we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News, the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pierce.
And me, Miriam Cates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Only on GB News.
Welcome back to Late Edition. So, before we give you the latest on the Prince Andrew scandal and saga, we just wanted to bring you the front page of the Daily Mail for Saturday morning. And the Daily Mail's front page has it's got a couple of interesting stories on it. Yes, there's the Prince Andrew one. But there's also one at the top there, which is probably worth buying a copy of the Daily Mail for, maybe. Page 26 and 27. It's Nadine Dorries. I had breast implants, then bitterly regretted it. But when I had an op to remove them, the surgeon did something so shocking, I'm still traumatised. By Nadine Dorries in the Daily Mail. Unfortunately, that article has not managed to find its way online yet. So that's all we know. So you're going to have to buy a copy of the Daily Mail to find out exactly what happened to Nadine Dorries and indeed possibly her breasts as well. But there is this little story that Barry Gardner has noticed, and it involves big fat men. No, we're not on the Prince Andrew thing. What is it?
It's wonderful. It's sumo wrestling, the World Sumo Championships, taking place here in the Royal Albert Hall, but they've had to strengthen the loo.
The I Weekend.
In the I Weekend.
Sorry.
Yeah, in the I Weekend. There we go.
Yep.
And right down the bottom there. And they've had to strengthen the toilets and the seats to make sure that they don't collapse when the sumo wrestlers sit on them.
How big are these lads?
They are big boys. They really are.
So them just sitting on a normal loo could lead it to buckle.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh! I did one of these.
Crack the bowl.
One of these like sumo competitions where they put like a blow-up costume on you. It's like at a fun fair, and there's a video of me somewhere just bouncing into my friend in this huge blow-up
We want
costume.
to see it,
I
Chloe.
know, I was trying to find it earlier, but many years ago.
Sumo wrestling?
I'd go and watch the sumo wrestling. Yeah, I quite like a bit of sumo wrestling. I can't say that I'm like a massive fan, but I would watch it. I wouldn't use the loo after them. I don't think I would do that. But also, I wonder, it's the floorboard under the loo, it's the waste pipe, it's all of that could end up being sort of affected.
But if
you've got an experience in plumbing.
Did you not think this is one of those stories that, like, people say because it adds excitement that these like mythical creatures almost. Like,
but have you actually seen them going at each other?
Only on television.
It's unbelievable, absolutely unbelievable, and the way the different techniques they use to get each other out of the circle. I think it's an amazing sport.
Do you know
rugby or
that
American
actually
football?
in Japan they have specially designed high-tech toilets that cater to sumo wrestling.
Well, you know, they are in Japanese culture. They are like sex gods, aren't they?
Yeah.
Sumo, seriously,
and they're super
it's like an honour to be with a sumo wrestler.
Oh, wow.
I know. Different standards of beauty, perhaps. But anyway, there we go. Right, OK, we're moving on to Prince Andrew seamlessly. I mean, look, so the revelations, if you're just joining us, obviously Prince Andrew's quit, right? However, he wasn't really quit. It turns out he was forced out, and it turned out as well that he didn't try to go without a fight. Apparently, there were hours of back and forth. I mean, so the Sun's probably got the funniest front page on this, but there's loads of them. I mean, the Independent's front page is probably the most accurate. Disgraced Andrew forced to give up Duke of York title. So he was forced to, after several hours of back and forth. He didn't want to do it. And King Charles and Prince William appeared to have given him an ultimatum, which is that you can either go of your own accord or we can go through Parliament to get you stripped of your titles. And it appears that, and which I think would have stripped Beatrice and Eugenie as well, probably. So he didn't want to do that. He didn't want to go through that. So he's gone.
And the time it would have taken to have done that, and I think that Prince Andrew would have known that would have been a further humiliation because that would have shown that he was fighting it.
Yes.
And so that would have been even more humiliating. And we've all seen, as you showed in footage earlier as well, that he was clinging on white knuckle to still be relevant. And this is it now. I mean,
it's going to be interesting to see what comes out in this book next week. If there's anything big in that we don't already know about, that could be the reason why this has suddenly happened.
Quite that, but also the latest allegations about him being pictured. Well, the picture exists, but whatever he was doing with the Chinese spy master. Is this quote from Prince Andrew's statement, just to leave you with? I have decided, as I always have, to put my duty to my family and my country first. Bearing in mind there are those spy contact allegations. It's an interesting remark to make. We'll have to wait and see about all of that. Thank you very much to my wonderful panel. Thank you, everybody. It's been a good, solid 3 hours. Thank you to everybody at home as well. And we'll go over to Bev Turner now, who's in Washington for us.
Thank you Thank you, Patrick. We have a couple of big exclusives for you tonight. Jackie Barrett, the woman who is almost responsible for bringing down Prince Andrew, you could say. She's going to be talking to me. I've also got Liz Truss in the studio with me, inspired, frankly, we both are, by the political temperature here in Washington, D.C. We're also going to be talking about digital ID. We're going to be looking at whether Kemi Badenoch is the right person to lead the Conservatives. And a lot more, all the front pages. Oh, and of course, Russia, Ukraine and Donald Trump this afternoon. What more do you want?
There's 2 weeks remaining in our latest, greatest giveaway. You could be in the driving seat of this Benamar Primera motorhome. This luxurious home from home comes with all the mod cons. Plus, you can use it with your current driving licence. We'll also